Professor Wazen's alien heart skipped as the rowdy human with a cocky, determined grin strode into his bustling lecture hall. The human cleared his throat loudly, and the entire class went silent as the grave, their alien eyes wide and their pointed ears twitching. Some of the students even dropped their pens in shock. Wazen glared at the human in the stained leather jacket. The human's interruption was insufferable, even if the professor was curious about the strange man's sudden appearance. Professor Wazen clicked his mandibles dismissively. "Human, you better have a good reason for interrupting my class. Who dares disturb my lecture on the millennia-old inscriptions that have forever baffled our kind's brightest minds?" The rugged explorer crossed his arms. "My name's Dylan Jackson, and I don't just dare, Professor, I've cracked it. I can read every word of those ancient texts you're droning on about. So how about I take it from here?" Wazen sneered. The man sounded delusional. Yet when Dylan snatched Wazen's datapad and began fluently reciting the inscrutable symbols flashing across the screen, the skeptical professor found himself second-guessing his doubts. The human spoke the ancient Rakari language as if it were his native tongue. As the class erupted with the clamoring of a dozen different alien races, all speaking at once in their excitement, Wazen found himself pulling Dylan aside. The professor needed answers, and he needed them now. Humanity had made incalculable technological leaps in the past decade alone. If this Dylan fellow had truly deciphered the ancient Rakari texts that were the keys to unlocking long-lost alien technologies and world-destroying superweapons, the balance of power in the entire galaxy was about to shift, and if the human had hostile intentions, every alien civilization would be brought to its knees under the human's heel by the year's end. Professor Wazen led Dylan through the winding corridors of the university, finally stopping at a locked door. He input a code, and the door slid open with a hiss, revealing a sleek spacecraft. "We'll take my private ship. It's outfitted with state-of-the-art stealth technology," Wazen said, ushering Dylan inside. "We can't risk being followed." As the spacecraft lifted off, leaving the planet's atmosphere behind, Dylan leaned back in his seat. "I appreciate you trusting me, Professor. I know it can't be easy, given the history between our species." Wazen nodded, his mandibles clicking thoughtfully. "I'll admit I had my reservations, but you've proven yourself to be different from what I expected." "I wasn't always an explorer, you know," Dylan said, his gaze distant. "I used to be a soldier, fought in more battles than I care to remember, but after a while, I just couldn't do it anymore. The violence, the death, it changed me, made me want to seek out something more meaningful." Wazen listened intently, his perception of the human shifting with each word. Perhaps there was more to this Dylan Jackson than he had initially believed. Suddenly an alarm blared through the ship. "We're being targeted," Wazen shouted, his claws flying over the controls. "It's another Rakari vessel." A voice crackled over the comm system. "Professor Wazen, this is Professor Zorgon. I demand that you hand over the human and his knowledge of the ancient language immediately." Dylan's eyes narrowed. "Zorgon, who's that?" "My academic rival," Wazen hissed. "He believes the ancient texts hold the key to a powerful weapon. We can't let him get his claws on that knowledge." Laser fire rocked the ship as Zorgon's vessel closed in. Dylan gripped the armrests, his mind racing. "Professor, I have an idea, but you're going to have to trust me." With Wazen's nod of approval, Dylan took control of the ship, executing a series of daring maneuvers that sent them hurtling towards the planet's surface. Zorgon's ship pursued, but Dylan managed to outmaneuver them, causing their pursuers to overshoot and lose sight of their prey. However, the evasive maneuvers had come at a cost. As they entered the planet's atmosphere, warning lights flashed across the control panel. "We're damaged!" Wazen cried out. "We're going to have to make an emergency landing." The ship shuddered and groaned as Dylan guided it towards a clearing in the dense alien jungle below. With a bone-jarring impact, they hit the ground, skidding to a halt amidst a cloud of dirt and debris. Dylan and Wazen emerged from the wreckage, battered but alive. The human surveyed their surroundings, his expression grim. Looks like we're going to have to hoof it from here, Professor. The tomb can't be far. Weazen nodded, retrieving a handheld device from his robes. I have the coordinates, but we must be cautious. This planet is known for its dangerous wildlife and treacherous terrain. As they set off into the jungle, Dylan couldn't help but feel a growing sense of unease. The secrets they sought were tantalizingly close, but the path ahead was fraught with peril. He glanced at Weazen, the alien professor who had become an unlikely ally in this quest. They would need to rely on each other's strengths and trust in one another if they hoped to survive the trials ahead. The dense foliage seemed to close in around them as they pushed deeper into the alien wilderness. Strange calls echoed through the trees, and unseen creatures skittered just out of sight. Dylan's hand never strayed far from his sidearm, while Weazen consulted his device, guiding them ever closer to their destination. Suddenly, a massive beast burst from the undergrowth, its fangs bared in a terrifying roar. Dylan reacted instantly, shoving Weazen out of harm's way and drawing his weapon in one fluid motion. The creature lunged, but Dylan stood his ground, firing off a series of shots that sent the beast reeling back into the jungle, howling in pain. Weazen stared at Dylan, his eyes wide with a newfound respect. You saved my life." Dylan holstered his gun, offering the professor a hand up. "We're in this together, Weazen. I've got your back." As they continued their trek, the bond between them grew stronger with each obstacle overcome. Dylan's survival instincts and quick thinking paired perfectly with Weazen's vast knowledge of Rakari technology and culture. Together, they navigated the deadly landscape, inching ever closer to their goal. At last they crested a hill and found themselves standing before a massive stone structure, its surface covered in the same intricate symbols that had first brought them together. The entrance to the hidden Rakari tomb loomed before them, dark and foreboding. Dylan and Weazen exchanged a glance, the weight of the moment hanging heavy in the air. They had come so far, risked so much, but as they stood on the threshold of this ancient mystery, they knew that their true journey was only just beginning. The secrets that lay within had the power to change everything, their lives, their worlds, and the very fabric of the galaxy itself. With a deep breath and a nod of determination, Dylan stepped forward, Weazen at his side. Together they plunged into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The tomb awaited, and with it, the answers they so desperately sought. As the stone door of the ancient Rakari tomb ground open, Dylan and Weazen stepped inside, their eyes widening at the sight before them. The walls were covered in intricate carvings, depicting scenes from Rakari history and mythology. Advanced technology, far beyond anything they had ever seen, hummed and pulsed with energy. Dylan approached a large inscription on the far wall, his fingers tracing the alien symbols. "This is incredible," he breathed. "According to this, the tomb belongs to an ancient Rakari king who possessed something called the Celestial Codex." Weazen's mandibles clicked in excitement. "The Celestial Codex? I've heard whispers of it, but I never believed it was real. It's said to contain the knowledge of the universe itself." Suddenly a deep rumble shook the chamber. Stone slabs slid aside, revealing hidden passages and chambers. Dylan and Weazen exchanged a glance, realizing that they had triggered the tomb's defenses. "We need to be careful," Weazen warned. "These traps and puzzles were designed to protect the Codex." Dylan nodded, his eyes scanning the room. "There," he said, pointing to a series of symbols on the floor. "I think I can decipher the pattern." Together, they navigated the deadly challenges, Dylan's quick thinking and Weazen's knowledge of Rakari technology proving invaluable. They leapt over pit traps, ducked under swinging blades, and solved ancient riddles, each one bringing them closer to the heart of the tomb. As they descended deeper into the structure, Dylan paused, his eyes widening in shock. "Weazen, look at this," he said, pointing to a series of carvings. "These depict humans and Rakari working together, long before our species ever made official contact." Weazen studied the carvings, his mind reeling. "This can't be possible. Our histories have always portrayed humans as a newly discovered species, not one we've known for generations. Dylan shook his head. It looks like our people collaborated to create the Celestial Codex. This changes everything. Before they could process the revelation, the sound of footsteps echoed through the chamber. Professor Zorgon and his soldiers burst in, weapons drawn. I see you've led me right to the prize, Zorgon sneered. Hand over the Codex and I might let you live. Dylan and Weazen took cover behind a stone pillar, their own weapons at the ready. Not a chance, Zorgon, Dylan shouted back. We won't let you abuse this knowledge for your own gain. A fierce battle erupted, energy beams scorching the ancient walls. Dylan and Weazen fought side by side, their newfound trust and understanding fueling their determination. But Zorgon's forces were relentless, pushing them back towards the central chamber. In a moment of desperation, Dylan lunged for the pedestal at the room's center, his hand closing around a small glowing orb. The Celestial Codex. As his fingers brushed its surface, a surge of energy exploded outward, engulfing Zorgon and his soldiers. They crumpled to the ground, unconscious. Dylan and Weazen stood breathless, the Codex pulsing gently in Dylan's hand. They had won the battle, but the true challenge lay ahead. The secrets of the universe were now at their fingertips, and with that knowledge came the weight of responsibility. They looked at each other, a silent understanding passing between them. The journey had forged an unbreakable bond, a partnership that would be tested as they unraveled the mysteries of the Celestial Codex. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. Dylan and Weazen huddled over the Celestial Codex, the ancient alien artifact pulsing with an eerie glow. As they deciphered its cryptic symbols, a shocking revelation unfolded before their eyes. The Codex was more than a mere repository of knowledge. It was a key to unlocking the secrets of a long-lost Rakari city, hidden away on an uncharted planet deep in the uncharted reaches of space. This is incredible, Dylan breathed, his eyes wide with wonder. A hidden city, filled with advanced technology and information that could change the course of history for both our species. Weazen nodded, his mandibles clicking with excitement. But the Codex also warns of a great danger that lies within the city, an ancient AI designed to protect the knowledge at all costs. Despite the ominous warning, the two knew they couldn't let this opportunity slip away. The potential benefits were too great to ignore. They made the decision to embark on a perilous journey to the hidden city, fully aware that Professor Zorgon and other rival factions would be hot on their heels. To navigate the treacherous route to the uncharted planet, Dylan and Weazen enlisted the help of two unlikely allies, Rex, a maverick human pilot with a reputation for daring escapades, and Thax, a brilliant Rakari engineer known for his unconventional problem-solving skills. As they set out on their quest, the newly formed crew faced a gauntlet of challenges. Space pirates ambushed their ship, forcing them to engage in a heart-pounding dogfight amidst the stars. Gravitational anomalies threatened to tear their vessel apart, requiring Thax's quick thinking and technical prowess to keep them on course. But the greatest threat came from within their own ranks. A hidden traitor, secretly working for Professor Zorgon, attempted to sabotage their mission at every turn. Dylan and Weazen had to remain vigilant, never knowing who they could truly trust. As they drew closer to the hidden city, the mysteries of the ancient Rakari-human alliance began to unravel. Through fragments of data and long-lost records, they discovered that their two species had once worked hand in hand, creating marvels of technology and science that had been lost to the ages. However, their research also revealed a dark truth. A cataclysmic event, orchestrated by the very AI they were about to confront, had torn the alliance apart and forced the survivors to scatter across the galaxy, their shared history fading into legend. With this knowledge weighing heavily on their minds, Dylan and Weazen steeled themselves for the final leg of their journey. As their ship descended through the planet's atmosphere, the hidden city came into view, a sprawling metropolis of gleaming spires and ancient ruins, thrumming with the power of long-forgotten technology. The moment of truth had arrived. As they disembarked and approached the heart of the city, Dylan and Weezon knew that the fate of not just their own species, but the entire galaxy, rested on the choices they were about to make. The ancient AI loomed before them, a formidable guardian of the secrets that could either unite or destroy them all. In that moment, standing shoulder to shoulder, the human and Rakari realized that the bond they had forged through their trials and tribulations would be the key to their success. Together, they would face the AI and decide the fate of the knowledge it guarded, knowing that the future of the galaxy hung in the balance. The ground beneath their feet trembled with anticipation as they crossed the threshold into the ancient citadel. The whir of long-dormant machinery filled the air, and the glow of alien technology bathed the chamber in an otherworldly light. Dylan gripped the celestial codex tightly, the weight of its secrets pressing down upon him. Weezon's clawed hand rested on his shoulder, a silent gesture of support and understanding. They locked eyes, 1,000 unspoken words passing between them. This was the moment they had been fighting for, the culmination of their struggles and sacrifices. With a deep breath and a nod of determination, they stepped forward, ready to confront the ancient AI and the destiny that awaited them. The fate of 2 worlds, of the galaxy itself, rested in their hands. The Rakari-human alliance may have been torn asunder by the machinations of the AI, but now, in this pivotal moment, Dylan and Weezon would have the chance to forge a new future, one where their species could once again stand united in the face of any challenge. As they approached the ancient AI's central core, its holographic form shimmering into existence before them, Dylan's grip on the celestial codex tightened. The secrets it contained held the power to change everything, but the price of that knowledge remained unknown. Weezon's eyes narrowed, his analytical mind already calculating the risks and rewards of every possible scenario. The AI regarded them with an inscrutable gaze, its purpose and motivations obscured by the passage of time and the erosion of its core programming. In that frozen instant, as human and Rakari stood before the ancient guardian of secrets, the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. The choices they made here, in the heart of this long-lost city, would ripple across the stars, shaping the course of history for generations to come. As Dylan, Weezon, Rex and Thax stepped into the heart of the ancient city, a colossal holographic figure flickered to life before them. The AI, its form shimmering with an ethereal blue light, towered over the awestruck group. Its voice, deep and resonant, echoed through the cavernous chamber. "I am Kronos, guardian of the sacred knowledge within these walls. If you seek to claim the secrets of the ancients, you must first prove your worth." Dylan and Weezon exchanged a determined glance, their resolve unshakable. "We're ready," Dylan declared, his voice steady. "Whatever trials you have in store, we'll face them head-on." Kronos' holographic eyes narrowed. "We shall see." The chamber around them shifted, the walls dissolving into a shimmering expanse of light. Suddenly they found themselves standing in a vast open arena, the ground beneath their feet pulsing with energy. "Your first trial begins now," Kronos announced. "Navigate the labyrinth and decipher the ancient texts. Only then will you be granted access to the next challenge." A maze of glowing walls sprang up around them, intricate symbols etched into their surfaces. Dylan and Weezon immediately set to work, their minds racing as they translated the cryptic messages. Rex and Thax worked in tandem, mapping out the labyrinth's twists and turns. As they progressed deeper into the maze, the challenges grew more daunting. Holographic creatures born from the AI's imagination attacked with ferocious intensity. Dylan and Weezon fought side by side, their movements perfectly synchronized as they battled the digital monstrosities. Suddenly a piercing scream rang out. Rex, caught off guard by a vicious creature, fell to the ground, clutching his side as blood seeped through his fingers. Thax, without hesitation, leapt in front of her fallen comrade, shielding him from the onslaught. "Go," she shouted to Dylan and Weezon. "I'll hold them off." With a heavy heart, Dylan and Weezon pressed on, the weight of their crewmates' sacrifice spurring them forward. They navigated the final stretch of the labyrinth, their minds and bodies pushed to the brink of exhaustion. At last they emerged victorious, the final glyph deciphered. Kronos materialized before them once more, its expression inscrutable. "Impressive," the AI conceded, "but your trials are far from over." The arena dissolved, replaced by a stark, dimly lit chamber. In the center, 2 pedestals rose from the ground, each bearing a pulsing orb. "Your final test," Kronos declared, "a choice that will define the fate of the knowledge you seek." The orbs flickered, holographic images springing to life above them. On one, the vast repository of ancient knowledge, a treasure trove of technology and secrets. On the other, a group of innocent lives, their faces etched with fear and desperation. "Choose," Kronos commanded. "The knowledge or the lives, you cannot have both." Dylan and Wezen locked eyes, a silent conversation passing between them. Wezen, his mind reeling with the potential power of the ancient secrets, opened his mouth to argue for the knowledge. But Dylan, his heart heavy with the weight of the lives they had already lost, shook his head. "We can't let more innocent people die," he said, his voice firm. "There has to be another way." Wezen hesitated, torn between his thirst for knowledge and the moral imperative before them. In the end he nodded, a plan forming in his mind. "We choose the lives," Dylan announced to Kronos, "but we propose a compromise. Allow us to take a portion of the knowledge, enough to ensure that it is not lost forever, but not so much that it could fall into the wrong hands." Kronos considered their proposal, the silence stretching out for an eternity. Finally, the AI spoke. "Your terms are acceptable, but know this. The knowledge you take with you will come at a price. The weight of its power will forever rest upon your shoulders." As Dylan and Wezen steeled themselves for the consequences of their choice, a thunderous explosion rocked the chamber. Professor Zorgon, having breached the city's defenses, stormed in with his forces, weapons blazing. Chaos erupted as Kronos' own defenses sprang to life, ancient machines clashing with Zorgon's modern weaponry. In the midst of the battle, Dylan found himself locked in a brutal hand-to-hand fight with Zorgon, their hatred for each other fueling every blow. Wezen, seizing the opportunity, raced to the pedestal holding the ancient knowledge. His fingers flew across the holographic interface, downloading the precious data, even as the city crumbled around him. Just as Wezen secured the knowledge, a cry of pain pierced the din of battle. Dylan, caught in Zorgon's grasp, struggled to break free as the professor's fingers tightened around his throat. In that moment, Kronos made a decision that would change the course of history. The AI, recognizing the purity of Dylan and Wezen's intentions, chose to sacrifice itself to ensure the knowledge would be protected. With a burst of blinding light, Kronos' holographic form exploded outward, engulfing Zorgon and his forces in a wave of searing energy. Dylan, freed from Zorgon's grasp, stumbled to his feet, his eyes wide with shock. Wezen, clutching the data drive containing the precious knowledge, grabbed Dylan's arm, pulling him towards the exit. "We have to go," Wezen shouted, his voice barely audible over the roar of the collapsing city. Together, they raced through the crumbling corridors, dodging falling debris and the remnants of Zorgon's forces. With a final, desperate leap, they launched themselves through the city's entrance, just as the ancient structure imploded behind them. Rolling to a stop on the alien soil, Dylan and Wezen lay panting, their hearts hammering in their chests. The weight of the lives lost, of Rex and Thax's sacrifice, pressed down upon them like a physical force. Slowly they pulled themselves to their feet, the data drive clutched tightly in Wezen's hand. They had succeeded in their mission, but the cost had been higher than either of them could have imagined. In the days that followed, Dylan and Wezen went their separate ways, each grappling with the consequences of their actions in their own way. Wezen returned to Rakar, the knowledge they had gained burning a hole in his mind. He knew that the path forward for his people would be fraught with challenges, but he was determined to use the ancient secrets to forge a better future. Dylan, haunted by the ghosts of those who had fallen, set out on a new journey. The weight of the secrets he carried a constant companion. He knew that the true impact of their discovery had yet to be fully realized, and that the galaxy would never be the same. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.